As you know, this event raises critical funds for the museum's many free and reduced programs. So to start today, we'd like to thank our event sponsors. Because of their generosity, every dollar that you give today is going to go directly to the museum's free and reduced programs. So first, I'd like to acknowledge our presenting sponsor, which is Thurston First Bank. I'd like to ask Jim Haley and his wife, Bobby, along with the entire Thurston First team, to stand and be recognized. Our keynote sponsor today is Puget Sound Energy, and I'd like to ask that team to stand up and be recognized. Next, I'd like to thank our major event sponsors, Sunset Air, Capital Medical Center, Site Crafting, and our host sponsor, the Red Lion Hotel, and our media sponsors, Pardaman Productions, and the Evergreen State College. So will you please all stand and be recognized? Thank you. We'd also like to acknowledge our corporate table sponsors and table captains who have worked so hard to fill, it looks like, every seat in the room. Thank you for your wonderful and generous contribution to this event, to the museum, and to children and families in our community. We'd especially like to recognize the generosity of our Leadership Circle members. This dedicated group of individual and corporate donors keep the museum strong by giving annual leadership gifts. At this time, I'd like to ask all Leadership Circle members to stand and be recognized. Come on. Thank you. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Ralph Monroe, who's going to be our Master of Ceremonies. Ralph is a great friend to the Hands-On Children's Museum and one of the board of directors of Thurston First Bank, our presenting sponsor. Most of you know Ralph from his long career as Washington's 13th Secretary of State. But Ralph continues to be a very active civic leader. He's a driving force behind the Capitol Land Trust, serves on the Washington State Parks Foundation Board, and is a member of the Board of Trustees of Western Washington University. Please join us in welcoming Ralph Monroe.
Thank you all for your work. I'm hobbling up on the stage in my boot. Most all of my friends have worn a boot at one time or another. This is my first day with a boot on for some foot problems. One of my good friends already walked over and told me, well, you had your foot in your mouth most of the time you were Secretary of State, so doesn't surprise us that you have a boot on. So thanks to Anna and Melissa and all of our sponsors. One more time for Thurston First Bank, Puget Sound Energy, all the sponsors. Let's thank them for all they're doing. It's a pleasure to be the Master of Ceremonies this morning, and we're going to move right through this program so we get you out of here on time. But there's really one kind of interesting announcement that I don't think most of you know, and that is that this incredible new museum that you have all built, each and every one of the people in this room and a lot of your friends and family and grandma and grandpa and cousins and neighbors have actually made this happen right here on our own waterfront with the help and assistance of a lot of local folks. And this last week, it was announced that we have been selected, Hands-On Children's Museum has been selected as one of the top 4 finalists in King Television, Channel 5, best fun places to take kids. And who are we listed with? The Woodland Park Zoo, the Pacific Science Center, and the Point Defiance Zoo, and us. So pretty nice. And there's 2 special elected officials that I want to introduce, and neither one of them are here. But today's a convening day of the legislature. They both have good excuses, but they have done incredibly good work, and I don't think either one of them are here. Oh, maybe you are here. I'm sorry. Come on up here, Gary. This is Gary Alexander, Gary Alexander has been one of our star performers in the legislature, as well as in his work recently as Thurston County Auditor and a Thurston County elected official. He's about ready to depart public office, and we appreciate you immensely. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Folks, he's done an incredible job for us. The other was Senator Karen Frazier. And is Karen here? She called late last night, and they have a caucus meeting this morning, I think at 7 o'clock. So Karen Frazier on the Democratic side of the aisle has done an incredible job as well and has been a longtime supporter and a longtime help to us, and we appreciate them both. Now, I'm going to ask the following people to stand, and we're going to hold our applause to recognize them. But here for Pierce County Superior Court Judge Stan Rumbaugh is here. Our Thurston County Superior Court Judge Chris Wickham. John Thunheim, the Thurston County Prosecuting Attorney. Ron Harding, Mayor of Yelm. John Way, Tumwater City Council. Nicole Hill, Tumwater City Council. Lenny Grinstein, the Lacey City Council. Cliff Moore, our new Thurston County Administrator. So if you'd all stand and be recognized, thank you very much for your work. It's deeply appreciated. And our education leaders here this morning. Puget Sound, South Puget Sound Community College President Dr. Tim Stokes. If you'd stand, St. Martin's University President Dr. Roy Hendricks. Olympia School Superintendent Dick Sidvanich. North Thurston School Administrator Joe Bellamonte. And Barbara Mitchell-Hutton, Nova's head of school, the head of the Nova School. Would you recognize these folks as well? And if one of those people would stand again. Joel Belmonte, where are you? That is the guy that's married to Patty. Can you believe what a life he has? Joel, thank you very much for your good work. You're an incredible guy. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Betty Hyde, a longtime director of the Washington State Department of Early Learning. And she was appointed there years back by Governor Gregoire. She's a former school superintendent, a longtime educator, and she served on the Washington Early Learn's K-12 Advisory Committee, numerous other task forces. She's just a first-class educator, and Betty, we're going to have a few words from you, so come on up. Thank you for being here.
Well, good morning. What a lovely event. The title in your program is Catalyst for Early Learning. And as a director of early learning, of course, I'm completely biased, completely sold on why it is the most important investment we can make ever. And it's not just, you'd expect me to say that, right? But it's not just me. There's plenty of research about that. There are longitudinal studies that follow children into their 40s. And they find if these children who are at-risk children have a high-quality early learning experience, they enter school ready, they have higher IQ scores, they're better reading, writing, they graduate on time, they go to college, they're not in jail, they're not on welfare. Such a deal for a high-quality early learning experience. There are economists, one very famous economist, James Heckman from the University of Chicago, Nobel Prize-winning economist, thinks this is the investment that will make a difference in our country's future. So long-term effects, you save money, good return on investment, and finally, there is all this wonderful brain research that shows what we didn't know when my kids were growing up, that the first 5 years are most critical in sculpting and shaping the brain and our adult aptitudes, success, and even our adult health. So we want to get young children and their families to places where they can be stimulated and enriched, and voila, here's where the Hands-On Museum comes in. Hands-On Museum is a place where anybody can go. You can be all gussied up. You can be in jeans. You can be rich. You can be poor. You can be a grandma. You can be a young teenage mother. Everyone's welcome. And the quality of the interactions that children and adults have together in the museum is paramount. They play together and they learn together. This is not just any museum. You all know that by showing up at 7:30 this morning. You know, some of the things that Secretary Monroe shared with you, you know, being among the wonderful places to go and have fun with children. In addition, I didn't know this, the Hands-On Museum is now the largest youth museum in our entire state. And they served about 8,000 children and families last year. That's a lot of kids and families having fun and learning together. They have, while we're here today, an extensive free access program for about 86,000 children and families. Their parent engagement program is actually a national model in terms of reaching out to at-risk parents and saying, come with your children, learn here. So there's specialized programs for victims of domestic violence, foster families, military families, children with autism, and children with disabilities. All come here and are welcomed and honored and have fun and learn together. Every Friday night, they have a free Friday night with more than 1,000 children and families attending. That's pretty great. So we are all here to say thank you to the Hands-On Museum staff to support their continuing work and to support enriching all young children and families about the importance of those very important early years. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Hyde. I'm Carrie Bell. I'm the president of the Children's Hands-On Children's Museum, and with me is Patty Belmonte. I think everybody knows she's our long-term executive director. I'd like to recognize and thank one of the hardest board of directors in the community. Will the Hands-On Children's Museum board please stand up, be recognized? Thank you. And let's thank the Children's Museum staff for their inspiring work that has made this museum truly extraordinary. Staff, everyone. I can't see if they're standing up. And a special thank you to our awesome events team, Amy Brockman and Emily Anderson, for managing today's event. Thank you. Now it's time to present the museum's Great Friend to Kids Award. This award is given at children's museums all around the nation to honor individuals who have made significant and outstanding contributions to strengthening education and advancing the interests of children. Over the past 26 years, the Hands-On Children's Museum has grown from a good idea to a beloved institution that has made its mark on the lives of children and families throughout the region. And it took many people to grow the good work of this organization. This year, our executive committee would like to recognize the contributions of a very special individual and his family who have touched the museum in a profound and enduring way. Patty will share more of that.
Thank you, Carrie. And Carrie has been a wonderful president for us this year, and I want to thank her for all her hard work. So, yes. So what can you say about a grown-up dad who comes to business meetings wearing crazy colored kid-inspired socks in women's sizes, and they often don't match? He can be seen at every museum event in some funny hat that makes the staff laugh and feel good just because they know him. This is the guy who is first in line for everything, always enthusiastic and relentlessly positive. It probably won't surprise you that he was the first to slide head down in the museum's new stream slide. I still remember when I met Drew Phillips many years ago. He came into my converted bathroom office on the Capitol campus and sat in one of my small wicker chairs and said to me, "So I'm a dad and I have a construction company and I was thinking that maybe I could help with the new children's museum in Olympia." And I remember staring at him thinking, what does he want? Does he really want to help us? And since that day, nearly a decade ago, the Phillips family, Drew and Kylie and Sydney and Kate, have definitely helped us. And they have left their fingerprints on this museum forever. And I mean that literally, so the next time you're in our outdoor discovery center, sitting around our fire ring, you'll see what I mean. Drew is first and foremost a dad, and he is so proud of it. He'll let you know that his girls are the most important thing to him. I think at one point in the long construction process, he was worried that the girls would be totally grown up before they could ever use the new museum. But use it they do. For years, the Phillips family was part of our preschool, and Kylie was a regular fixture at the old museum. The Phillips participate in just about everything we do at Hands On. Camps, homeschool programs, parent-child nights, Sand in the City, and there's a rumor going around that Kylie is an avid art studio mom and can be seen spending hours in there creating. When Drew found himself home alone last month on Free Friday night, what did he do? He appeared fresh-faced and ready to volunteer, which turned out to be a really good thing because Smokey the Bear was visiting the Hands On Children's Museum, and Smokey needed a replacement, which Drew was very happy to accommodate. Not only does their family use the museum, but their company, Forma, which used to be Berkshire Phillips, is a major sponsor of museum events and programs, and certainly a major sponsor of the new museum, which they helped to build. Most of you know that Drew and Kylie have had a hand in so many important projects that benefit education and children in our community. And we can truly say we would not have the Hands On Children's Museum we do today without their investment, enthusiasm, and passion. Before we present the Great Friend to Kids Award, we have a special gift for Drew. But Drew and Kylie, can you come up here for a sec? So we have a nice award for them, but I have to give Drew a special gift that we've all been talking about for a couple weeks now. I know Drew does remember this, but this is the very first donation that Drew ever made to the Hands On Children's Museum. And because of Drew and Sunset Air, we don't need this anymore. Oh, you can take it home now. Carrie, do you want to? So on behalf of the Board of Directors and the children and families that we serve, it is our honor to present the Great Friends to Kids to Drew and Kylie. Ken Anderson.
Before my good friend Ken Anderson starts, a few of you parked in the Washington Student Achievement Council lot, and they are not happy. So if you know who you are, you might want to move your car a little bit.
Thanks, Ralph. It's a good problem that the parking lot's so full out there. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Ken Anderson. Along with my wife, Nancy, we had the pleasure of chairing the capital campaign for building the new museum with a couple of our good friends, the Panowitzes, Rick and Pam Panowitz, and John and Sally Warjohn. And I was asked today to come up and speak about our first-year achievements. And I'm just really pleased to be here. I think this room is emblematic of what this first year has been all about in the new museum. We needed a bigger room. We needed a bigger museum. And I'm glad to see so many people here this morning supporting that new museum. The tri-chairs couldn't do this all on our own. We had a lot of help. We gathered in my dining room about 8 years ago and talked about this vision for a new museum, and we had no idea what it would really end up being. Well, Patty had some idea, and her staff, and we're just so blessed to have them and their creative talent. But it took a group of volunteers to really step up and make this a reality. Our capital campaign committee was really the foundation from which we built. Those are members, leaders in this community who stepped forward and donated countless hours, a lot of money, and a lot of influence to make this a reality. A lot of them are here today, and I'd like them all to stand up, please, the Capital Campaign Committee. They haven't gotten enough recognition. Can you please stand up and be recognized? Come on, I know you're out there. Please stand up. They're being a little shy. Humble people. Well, I was glad you let me in the room today. I was in a lot of your rooms, dining rooms, your living rooms, your boardrooms, asking for money to build this new museum. And when we came around and asked for your support, we really didn't know how big this would be. We knew that we had pent-up demand. We knew that we were not serving enough people. We knew on those free Friday nights that there was a line outside the door, people waiting to get in. So we knew that. We just didn't know how much. And fortunately, we had other partners who wanted to go and test that vision with us. The City of Olympia was our chief public partner. And I think a couple of folks from the City of Olympia are here, Jay Burney and Steve Hall. Are you both here? Can you stand up, please? Steve over here, our city manager, Jay Burney. These two gentlemen never wavered from the vision and had to navigate through different councils. It just took us so long to do that we had lots of different councils, and they were the steady force that kept driving us there. Of course, the port and lot, together with the museum, helped make the East Bay Revitalization Project a reality. And when you're down there, aren't you just so prideful of that place, that river that's out there, the stream, when you're seeing the kids playing down there? It's just a magical place. I'm so proud of the place. But when we sat in my dining room 8 years ago and talked about this vision, it was the tri-chairs, Patty Belmonte and Brad Jerkovich, and I think our greatest legacy, Nancy and mine, to the museum is getting Brad Jerkovich involved. He was the president of the museum at the time. And we sat there and listened to Patty as she charted out a vision for this place, and we wanted three things to happen. We knew we had world-class educators and world-class creative people. They needed a world-class facility to inspire young people, to have a place where we can all gather, and to draw tourism. And we set out that vision, and on November 10th, 2012, so we just celebrated our one-year anniversary, we opened the doors of the new museum. Phase one of our capital campaign opened up the interior. About 85% of the exhibits that we plan to have are open and thriving and are well utilized. And then we created the infrastructure for our outdoor discovery center. Phase two we're working on now, which is to complete the interior and all of the exterior projects outside. And we've had some incredible donors step back up to the table. These are all people who were there in phase one and made incredible gifts of time and talent and treasure. Better than six-figure gifts, most of these folks. Weyerhaeuser, Port Blakely, Snell Crane, and Rick and Ellen Middleton and their company, Anderson Middleton Company, all stepped up. Are you folks in the room? Will you all please stand up and be recognized? I know Ellen Middleton's here. They all stepped up and are helping make phase two a reality. We've already got some wonderful things happening in there. Rick Middleton's a college buddy of mine, and it's awfully fun that all these years later, too many to count, we're working together on this project. So thank you all for making that happen, the outdoor center. And I'm hoping by next summer we're going to see lots and lots of kids playing out there. We have a short video we want to show right now about one of the neat exhibits out in the Outdoor Discovery Center. It's Raccoon Run, and this is a little video that was done by an Evergreen student who was doing his senior project. So let's take a look at this.
So one thing about sticks for me is that sticks give me good ideas, and if I have a bit of a failing moment and I can't think of what to do, if I just pick one up and start thinking about it, or if I look at the length of it, I think, well, you know, I could possibly use it for this or for this.
You know, I've learned so much from this project, and I've really enjoyed learning kind of more of the art side of construction. This is so different than anything that I've ever worked on before.
This was my first time to ever go out with an artist in the woods and see him gather his material and just basically shadow him as he's trying to find the perfect materials for his artwork. It's been really an exciting opportunity for me personally to see these tree and shrub species that I walk through almost daily, to see them collected, gathered, and transformed into this beautiful piece of art that's just engineering and natural marvel, basically.
What we did when we started the process was to make a drawing of basically kind of cursive, like children might write. And this is kind of a drawing style in which what you do with a pencil, you do with these groups of lines. We're taking them out of the woods as trees, but when we get them over to the site, they're lines.
The second day we got started on stripping all the leaves, and we started using leaf stripper crews to basically strip all the leaves off of all the branches. And that's basically that took about 4 days. People were doing that. The second day that we came back, me, Jason, and Patrick drilled 76 2-foot holes in the ground here on site after we laid it out on the ground.
We set a scaffolding around the outside, and then we pull the shape the way we want it. We tie it over to the scaffolding. We could cut those things loose when that's formed up. Then we build a kind of a structural layer on these pieces and cut them loose, and they hold the shape we've placed them in. And the next thing is to go in and apply your aesthetic. It's just like building a canvas and then drawing on it. And so once we get a good structural base that holds itself in place, then we put sticks where we like them, what they look good.
Patrick has described it as whip stitching, like sewing around the edges to smooth those edges and to create the finer lines and the direction so that the sculpture looks like it's moving.
He explained it by telling us, kind of giving us an idea of what it's supposed to look like, that it would look a little like whipped cream as it spiraled up towards the top, and that there was going to be 6 towers. Just kind of see how it's all put together. It's just kind of amazing how sticks can be held together that way.
Ultimately, we find that there's a lot of closet stick gatherers out there, and all their demands to help and be part of the process finally, did become reality and become part of the work.
One of the other things I've really loved about the project is just meeting all of these other people in the community. I think I've made 4 or 5 good friends through this process and traded information, and we're having dinners together, and it just kind of brings all of these very interesting people from the community together.
The part that kept me excited in coming back was that I get to see all the process, see how much he gets done in each day, and I can't wait to go see the kids running through it and checking it out.
I think the children are going to love it right off the bat the first time, because it's got lots of nooks and crannies and tunnels and arches and pathways, and they can hide and seek and run. It'll feel very secretive and unusual, I think, to them, because it'll be on natural fiber wood chips and all made with sticks, and I think they'll be inspired and they'll look up and see all the curves and bends of the twigs. I think it's going to be really inspiring and magical for them.
I think the kids will be surprised and they'll be impressed with it, and then they'll just want to run around it and check it out.
His artwork is a really advanced, well-engineered, really cool stick fort. And I think kids immediately relate to that and want to play with it.
I'm Patty Belmonte. I'm the director of the Children's Museum. And I want to thank you all so much for coming out today. This has been an exciting 3 weeks for us. We learned last night that this is, Patrick, your 240th sculpture. We are very honored to have it at the museum. So what we thought we would do is we would ask all of the kids if they wanted to be the first ones into the sculpture. So who has the scissors? Anna's got it scissors.
I can use big scissors.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, now let's give your scissors back.
Kids needed to travel in this piece, so that in order, if it was one single object, there's not that many opportunities. If you have a lot of doors and windows and a lot of walls and surprises, and of course you don't want to lose your children. You just want to make them feel like they could be lost. In some ways, you know, I've got the best of everything that art is supposed to do. It's supposed to enliven people's imagination, stir them up, make them run towards the object. I get to see that, you know, and I get to appreciate that not only at the end, but during the building process where people are coming up and talk to me. And, you know, my thought would be that if you could make something that had a matter of intense value to it, and you looked at it at the moment more like a concert or more like a song, that, you know, that would be, I would get my maximum value out of the work. Similarly, when you see a good dance or you see a good sculpture, you know, it turns some little buttons on in you, and you understand something that you didn't understand before. You hadn't understand how you felt. You felt a different way. It promoted you to feel. And so once I realized that I had that capacity to excite and to you know, jar people a little bit and get them to look at something in a different way and imagine this material in a different way, then I realized that there was huge relevance in being an artist.
Fabulous stuff. You know, we have a place we like to go vacation, a cabin over in Idaho, and about 10 years ago, my kids started building a wood fort, and every year they've added onto it. And when we get to the lake, and there's so many magical things to do there, that's the first thing they want to go do. It's a place where they can imagine, they can create, they can play. It's all their own. And those are the kinds of things we're doing and inspiring kids to do. It's not just structured play where they're being dictated to by adults, but they get to create, they get to imagine. And what that does for executive function is just priceless. And what it means for our future is priceless. So thank you. You saw Drew Phillips, a picture of him in the raccoon run out there, and what a kid at heart. I couldn't imagine two better recipients for that award. They are humble giants in this community for kids, so I want to thank them again. So our first year, table captains, would you mind passing out in your packets this little sheet? There's kind of a little one sheet. There are lots of facts and figures on here to demonstrate what a fabulous investment this has been in our community, and we're just getting started. We've got more to fund and more capital to raise for the phase 2 of this project. Phase 1 is going fabulously well. Phase 2, we've got some work to do. But you can see the investment that's been made. And today we're here to talk about operating capital, and I'll be back up later to talk about that, the money we need for just operations. But you can see here, we thought, when I was going around and talking about this, I thought we were going to be serving 200,000 people a year. We're over 300,000 people a year we're serving at this new museum. And there's more that we have to turn away. We're here today to support free and reduced programs. 23,000 more kids and their families are being supported at this new museum than we did a year ago. That's $10 per person it costs the museum to do that. That's a lot of money when you do the math. 86,000 people total are enjoying those free and reduced programs, and still there's waiting lists. Our military program, our discounted military program, has increased fourfold, and that is so important, and you'll see a video later that talks about that. You know, it's just so important that we support what's going on here. The museum does a phenomenal job at earned income. They are among the best in the country at earned revenue, but still they can't, it's a nonprofit, they can't earn enough to support the operations that we need. We need to support more of these people. Field trips have increased twofold, but there's still a waiting list of folks who need that, and there's a lot of underserved communities that we want to serve through your help today. So if you take a look and see all of the successes here. But to me, all of these facts and figures are impressive. It just means we're a smash hit, really. I mean, to hear that we, Ralph, are among the top 4 finalists in a state that's 6.5 million and a little community of 250,000, that we are one of the top 4 finalists, you know, I wouldn't be surprised that we're soon #1. Lots of folks from Seattle are coming down. If you look at the list here of the communities that are coming here, our top communities, King County is all over this. And it's fun to watch these people walk in and say, I wish we had something like this in Seattle. And they're willing to drive down. We have a lot of new members who have joined the museum, and all over the Northwest, not just here in Thurston County. Our farthest family member is from 400 miles away. They have a family membership in Idaho, so it's wonderful. The economic well-being for our community is also being well served by this. It is a tourism draw. $8 million this last year in hotel stays alone being generated, including 8,000 room nights at the area hotels. You can see why the Olympian is publicizing why so many hotels are updating downtown, all of the major hotels. Weddings and conferences and museum attenders are all coming to our city and investing now in our community. So I want to conclude this first year report with just a quote from someone who posted on Facebook after their visit. This was an out-of-towner who came and said, "This hands-on children's museum is one of the best we've ever visited. I was a little taken by surprise to find a facility that would rival similar places in much larger cities. The staff were very helpful, and the facility itself was spick and span. Thank you, Olympia. What a great job. Well worth the visit, and we will return regularly." Great. And I'll return in a few minutes to ask you for some money.
Thanks, Ken. Ken's a terrific guy, and you're a great supporter, and you and your family, and we appreciate you immensely. Now, another special presentation today, our good friend Dr. Shane Lopez is here. And it's a very interesting what he's going to talk about. He's going to talk about a word that we don't think a lot about, the word of hope. He's the chief architect of the Gallup student poll. He measured hope with over 1 million people. And he just has, I think, a really exciting and incredible message. So let's ask Dr. Lopez to come up and say a few words to us. Come on up here. You know, it's interesting when, as a state official, when we first started to open up the Russian Far East during the Andropov administration and communist administration in Russia, came back here and the governor said to me, "What was it like? What are the people like?" I said, "Well, the biggest problem is they have no hope." And hope is an incredible subject to talk about. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Good. Nice to see you.
Thank you all for having me here this morning. I'm from Lawrence, Kansas. So I drove over last night, and beautiful drive. And Patty, I can't believe you're letting me talk for 2 hours this morning. These folks are so busy. 2 hours, that's a whole lot of time. So already you're thinking into the future, which is good because that's what hopeful people do. You're thinking, I will not be here in 2 hours. I will be somewhere else in 2 hours. My friend, Danny Kahneman, who's another Nobel Prize winner in economics, he's a psychologist by training, he and I were sitting at dinner one night, and he said to me, "We are strangers to our future selves." And then I took a drink, and I said, "I don't know what that means, but it's really amazing that you just said that." And what he meant is that we do lots of things in service of our future selves, but we don't really know our future selves. So who in here has ever signed a 30-year mortgage? You know, it's like you're really going to want to live there 30 years from now with all those stairs and that tub you can't get into now and all that stuff. No, we don't really understand our future selves. So psychologists, we've been trying to figure out how to really get in touch with our future selves, and that's at the heart of hopeful thinking. So I want you to project yourself into the future later today, and you don't have to do it now, and just go on your smartphone, download a free app, and I'll tell you the name of it in a second, but what it'll do is it'll ask you to take a picture of yourself, to crop it ever so nicely, and then to hit a button. And that button will age your face 30 years. It already happened to Ralph, just in minutes. Public service will do that to you, Ralph. So that projection, that thinking about the future, when we meet our future selves, we actually behave in our better interests today, in our best interests today. So a study that a friend of mine did, he had people age themselves 30 years. So they started, these were college students, so they were somewhat interested in the task. They wanted to see their 48-year-old selves. They had them age themselves for 30 years. And he divided the group into two, and this is a little bit of researchy stuff. And he essentially had a group of folks who just took a picture of themselves and cropped it. And then he had a group of folks who took a picture of themselves, cropped it, made it pretty, and then aged it 30 years, okay? All of them came out of the research room and they answered one question. So this was the dependent variable of the study. If I gave you $1,000 today, how much would you save toward retirement? And after a 15-second intervention, the people who had met their future selves saved many more dollars toward retirement than the folks who weren't thinking about the future. How we think about the future affects how we behave today in a host of different ways. And our children understand this. They get this. They're constantly thinking about the future. So who has had the child saying, Daddy, what do we do next? Are we there yet? Can we do this now? Can we do this now? When is my time up on the screen? I really want to play more iPad. All of this stuff, they're thinking about the future, and they're doing what I call nexting. Nexting. Thinking about the future in a fairly complex way starts at age 2. At age 2. And what it starts with, what it looks like to us, is daydreaming. Daydreaming. Now, many of you in this room have started companies. You've built things out of nothing. Didn't it start with you just sitting back with a friend and dreaming about something amazing? And how much time do we give our children to just sit back and dream about something amazing? Well, at the Hands-On Museum, we give them a lot of time. At children's museums around the country, that's what we do. We create an environment in which students and which kids can just sit back and daydream. And then they start dreaming about something in particular. And then they start nexting. And nexting is kind of the first steps to hoping. And once you start nexting, you start thinking about the things that matter to you most, and then trying to come up with a plan to get from where you are today to where you want to be in the future. So at Gallup, we ask people all the time, what are your hopes and dreams for the future? What are your hopes and dreams for the future? So play along with Gallup. What are your hopes and dreams for the future? And at a gut level, you have a quick response. You know what those things are. We ask people around the world this question, and we ask kids this question, and two things always pop up. One day I want a good job, and one day I want a happy family. The kids that go to your museum are flirting with these ideas every day. I got a ton of information from the museum before coming here, and Sam, her little note caught my eye, and Sam went to the museum and she got to sit in the beehive, and she said, I felt what it was like to be a bee. And then she got to sit in the eagle's nest, and I felt what it was like to be an eagle. But then it progressed. I got to sit in the fire truck. I felt what it was like to be a fire lady, she said. I got to sit in a boat. I felt what it was like to be a sailor. Our children are trying on their future selves. They're trying on what's next. They're trying to figure out how to one day conspire with other people to land a good job and build a happy family. Why is that so important? Why is that so important? So we poll every year. This year in October, we polled 600,000 kids and asked them about their lives across America, including folks in Washington. And what we found is that only half of American children are hopeful. Half. So half of American children believe that the future will be better than the present, and they have some role in making it so. Half. So we need to conspire together. We need to work together to figure out how to create hope hubs in every community. We have wonderful schools, we have wonderful businesses, we have wonderful hospitals, but we need more hope hubs. And the Children's Museum is one of them. Hands-On is one of those hope hubs that creates this better sense of the future in children and gives them a belief that they have some role in making it so. And why does that matter? Hope is worth a letter grade. Hope is worth a letter grade. So this belief that the future can be better than the present, combined with that belief that you have some role in making it so, takes you from a B student to an A student. So we've done study after study after study with children all across the world, and what we found across 48 different studies, we found that hope is worth a letter grade, and it's independent of IQ. So it's an equal opportunity resource. Kids of all ability ranges can come to a place, learn how to be hopeful, take that hope home with them, and then be more successful in school, be more on target for that good job, and eventually build that happy family that then gets a hands-on museum pass and continues to come back for decades to come. How do we change hope? You guys are already doing it. You're already doing it. Through the Hands-On Children's Museum, what you're doing is you are having kids meet their future selves every day. There are children out here today playing with some of the exhibits and just figuring out how much science it takes to get from a little bitty thing that won't float in the air to a thing that will spiral in the air and turn into a beautiful flower. They're flirting with these ideas, they're flirting with the future, and you're helping them do that every day. And the more we can do that, the better our community becomes. Now, I want to leave you with a few thoughts. And this one comes from Robert F. Kennedy. It's a beautiful quote. And Kennedy went around the world in 65 and 66 giving amazing speeches. One I'm not referencing much today is a speech about GDP versus gross national happiness. And he talked a lot about the role of GDP in our culture, but also he said, shouldn't we count the things like happy kids and happy families, and people who learn and live together in a community with grace and love. And this is his other speech that really moves me. This is from his South Africa speech. Each time a man stands up for an ideal or acts to improve the lot of others or strikes against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope. And crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring, those ripples build a current which can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance. So already you're creating ripples. But let me tell you what we discovered recently about contagions and hope. So you had 307,000 visitors, is that right, in 1 year? Okay. So let's say we did a good enough job to inspire a little bit of hope in each of them, all right? And then they leave the museum and they go home and they pass that on to one more person. And they pass that hope on to one more person. And then they pass that hope on to one more person. That's what we found in our research, is that hope spreads to the third degree. So your hope is shared with his hope, and your hope is shared with her hope. And your hope is then shared with him, and he's more hopeful, and you may not know him. So what you're doing for the children that show up, for the families that show up in the Children's Museum, is that you're sparking this hope that they can go off and share. So the children today who are in the museum today might spread hope to hundreds or thousands of people in your community. So the challenge for you is, how do you create that ripple of hope every day in Olympia, and then spread it to more and more children throughout Washington and beyond? Thank you so much for the great work you do.
When I saw Dr. Lopez last year at the National Children's Museum Conference, he inspired me because he said children's museums are hope creators. And I love that, and I believe that. And so thank you, Dr. Lopez, very much. We're here today to talk about our free and reduced admissions programs because we want to make sure that every child and every family can visit the Children's Museum. It's been our founding belief. And our free and reduced programs are numerous and far-reaching. Just one example from this last month, after many years of requests for a regular support program for families of children with autism and other sensory challenges, we held our first pilot program for a special night for these families and their children. And without much advertisement on this, we had over 50 children and families come to this first pilot program. And overwhelmingly on their evaluations, what did they say? Please offer it weekly, please offer it monthly, please offer it regularly. As one parent told us, it is major for our kids to have a place that is safe and where they have the opportunity to explore and be themselves. Hands-On is an amazing venue, yet on open days there are many kids, and those with sensory issues like mine get overwhelmed very quickly. Tonight my daughter was able to touch, to spend time, and explore calmly. Thank you so much. Take a look on your table by your centerpieces, and you'll find sweet stories from sponsored elementary students from communities all around the South Sound. Even the centerpieces were made as part of our free and reduced programs during our largest free access program, our Sand in the City event in August. In celebration, you'll notice the sticks on those centerpieces in celebration of Raccoon Run. The museum does good work to support rural and underserved students, military families, at-risk parents, and so many other special needs groups. I want to tell you about a teacher who contacted the museum just a few weeks ago. Like many teachers who contact us, she was looking for the best opportunities for her students. Erin Hennessy is a third-grade teacher at Hillside Elementary School at Joint Base Lewis McChord. And here's what she told us. I personally believe getting to experience a museum is a true luxury for my kids. For a majority of them, museums aren't on the agenda. Survival, putting food on the table, and ensuring a warm coat is. All of my students have at least one parent in the military, with the other parent often responsible for running a household when their deployed spouse is gone. This trip is so special to our third graders for another reason as well. They carry emotional burdens far beyond their civilian third grade counterparts. I have students who have had a parent deploy 3 to 4 times in their young lives, resulting in a 2 to 4 year time span where they might not be seeing their mother or their father. Imagine that. Not to mention the injuries, deaths, and other emotional strains that result from the military lifestyle. Getting to revel in childhood, play, learn, and expand their minds is a gift and a true break from the everyday realities that they are often dealing with. Although we have hundreds of children, literally right now, more than 300 children on a wait list for free field trips this school year, and no dedicated field trip funding to offer at this time, I was so touched by Ms. Hennessy's request that I asked my staff to let her know that we would find the funding to make a field trip possible for the 75 third graders at Hillside Elementary. She wrote to us, I am thrilled that my students will get to explore their curiosity, creativity, and learning at Hands-On. Thank you 100 times over. You have made this scrappy, loving, honorable crew over the moon excited. It is through generous donations that this is possible, and it makes my heart happy to know that there are people out there that want to grant learning opportunities to those in need. So I invited Erin to the breakfast today so she could see all of you, the wonderful people that will fund free field trips for teachers like her and the students she cares about. Erin, can you stand, and we thank you for your work. Now I'd like to share a short video that we think sums up why we're working so hard to keep the museum accessible to everyone who wants to attend. At the Hands-On Children's Museum, we sometimes hear that play is a luxury and not a necessity. So we decided to ask some of the experts we know about the importance of play.
Play is important because you can learn some things, and it's good for your brain, some kinds of play. You could think about things when you're playing, and you could think about whatever you want.
It's like learning in a different way. It's learning a lot more by yourself and more freely.
My favorite part of play is you get to learn stuff, and it's really, really fun.
Well, because it expands your brain into thinking about different things. I like the feeling when you figure it out.
I think play should happen every day, because without it, the world wouldn't be that fun. When I play in the museum, I feel happy. I was excited to come to the Children's Museum because it's really fun and I haven't been here in a long time. When I'm in the art studio, I like to make lots and lots of pets and creations. I love the slide because it's so squiggly, and I don't have squiggly slide. I wish all kids could come to the museum because it's awesome. In the outside space, it's just really fun for me because of the Raccoon 1 area, the sand area, and I like to play in those forts made of sticks. If I couldn't come to the Children's Museum, I would feel sad. The museum so much.
That's why we're here. Bria, the last girl there in the video, her dad is here this morning, I believe. Dr. Anna Rugg. Jindal, are you here? Somewhere? Right back here, yeah. That surprised you that she was in there? She loves the museum, doesn't she? Yeah. So do I, for all those reasons. It's fun to see people like Drew up on that eagle's nest having fun. As adults, we get to have fun. We were there the other day and crawling through underneath the ship with my brother who was in town and his young child. And, you know, here are a couple of guys that are not in the best shape crawling underneath this small area. And in toddles this little 18-month girl, and the look of wonder on her face was just priceless. This is such a wonderful place. We have some incredible leadership circle members in the room. You saw them earlier stand up, and I'm hoping every one of them will want to renew, and I know they will. They've been longtime supporters. But we need more at this bigger museum. We need more to help access more people to come here for our free and reduced programs. We're hoping we can get just 17 new leadership circle members today. That's a $1,000 donation is all. That's at $83 a month. You can pay monthly. We can, you know, bill you. You can, you know, they'll make it easy for you. I'm sure Thurston First has an app. They can make it easy for you to do that, right? I would like to provide a little incentive. The museum, and I said, you know, geez, you don't need an incentive. It's something that we all need to invest in. But Patty and her gracious staff said, we want to incent some folks here. So every new leadership circle person is going to get $100 in the gifts for the gift shop at the new museum. So Holidays are right around the corner. Great stocking stuffers in that wonderful museum store. So any new person who steps up today will get $100. In addition, all the leadership people, new and renewing, name will be put into a hat for an opportunity to win one of 2 prizes: a weekend stay at Alderbrook, including a spa package, and we know how great Alderbrook is, or a free private party at the new museum. Our company has long done corporate parties at the museum, and it is a fun place to do it. We used to be able to book any night we wanted. Now, I'm on a waiting list. So to get a free party at the museum is something special indeed. It's a great corporate event opportunity. So who here is not a Leadership Circle member who would like to become a Leadership Circle member today? A $1,000 donation will get you into that group. Can I have somebody stand up who would like to do that? We want 17 of you. I see a hand back here. I see another hand back here. Steve Bean, thank you very much. These are all new leadership folks. Yes, Cheryl Durier, thank you very much. There's 5. Yeah, thank you. Oh, Linnea, thank you, and Jim. Yeah, so much. We've got some other, Larry and Donna Brooke, thank you very much for stepping up. That's awesome. These people give until our heart hurts. Some others. Who else? Who else? Who am I not seeing? Over here. Okay, I can't see. The light's not very good. Oh, Merritt and Marcia, thank you very much. Over here. This is a big room. I can't even see. Darla, is that you? Darla Krug, thank you very much. That's great. Thank you. Is anybody keeping count? I need to have more creative play, I guess. My little brain is not processing. We want 17. Right here. Vana, thank you. Vana Maidley, thank you very much. Who else? We're getting close, I think. We're getting close. We want 17 new folks at that $1,000 level. Anybody else? Who am I not seeing? How about renewing members? Can you guys just show of hands of who's going to renew? Look at that. Awesome. Thank you very much. I know a lot of folks who couldn't be here this morning are already stepping up. Dr. Sheila and Scott Smitherman are stepping up, and Levi Green of South Sound Dentistry, Kevin and Andrea Rigg are stepping up. Maybe you're here, some of you. I know the Smithermans had a baby this morning, so another museum member to be coming. So thank you all. So the rest of you, I know you're going to make a generous gift as well, and every dollar makes a difference here. On your card, if you want to start filling these out, on your card are some other things that you can support, and you can see other things you can support: the free field trips, the free parenting classes, the free Friday nights, military family membership support, and more. There's little spots there to check boxes there, and I hope you'll just open up your hearts, open up your wallets, and help us continue to do great work. This is a world-class group of folks, and they need our support. Thank you all for being here this morning, and thanks for your generous contributions.
Thanks, Ken. And when Grandma and Grandpa call and ask, what do your children need for Christmas? Tell them to buy them another membership. They can contribute to the museum and help your kids and lots of other kids too. And remember, you can take those pledge cards out to other folks, somebody else that might want to join or make a gift and help us out. So we appreciate it. The centerpiece is on the table. Just feel free to take one, leave a few dollars under it. That would be appreciated as a donation to your table captain. That would help us all. And we want to thank everybody that's helped. And not just these sponsors. The sponsors are terrific. Thurston First and Puget Sound Energy and Sunset Air and Site Crafting and Capital Medical Center, Red Lion Hotel, lots of others. We want to thank all of them. We're very appreciative of that, but it really revolves around all of you. We also want to thank our leader, and I'm going to ask her one more time to stand up. Patty Belmonte, will you stand up, please? Be recognized. Thank you. So, Drew Phillips, I had a note that your car has been towed to Chehalis, so it'll be down there. Don't worry about a thing. It'll be back by noon. Folks, that's it. We're glad you're here. Thank you for helping. Make generous contributions. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving next week. And think of the blessings that we have and the blessings that we can bestow. And one way to do it is through this museum. Thank you for coming.